Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Srikant. So, session after lunch is always difficult. It's a nappy time. So, but I'm going to change a little bit of direction now. We talked about a lot about technology, testing, equipment, design, and all this stuff. But I came from operator, right? So let's talk about how these technology and products are performing in the network, right? And how it is changing, making a difference in the life of the rural people. So I'll just start with the introduction about Nepal, where I come from, right? So most of you probably know if you are in South Asia. If you are not, then Nepal is sandwiched between India and China. It's a mountainous and hilly countries, and the terrain is really difficult. So building a network and operating a network is really challenging in Nepal. We are a very poor country, and we just became a democratic republic in 2008. And talking about internet penetration, it's around mobile is around 45% and fixed is around 13%. Nepal is a very beautiful country, but it's only we spoiled it, right? Otherwise it's better than Switzerland. So just to give you a brief history about connectivity in Nepal, it started at 1994 as a commercial email service, and in 1995 Nepal is connected with the internet 364 kbps line, right? And from 1996 private operators also started out their operation, and they started using a VSAT. In 1997 the first optical link was established between India and Nepal, done by Nepal Telecom, but internet was not carried from 1997. So only in 2007 internet was carried over optical link between India and Nepal. And in 2012 there is also connectivity happened between China, but it's just for a name, so it's never been used. So you can also check in the map here, right? So and this picture belongs to a very famous guy in our country, Mahavir Pune, actually, who also built a rural wireless, and this is a very iconic picture. You cannot find it all over the internet. So now giving a brief of about broadband in Nepal. So we have around 108 ISPs in the country, 6 licensed mobile operator, and 2 is active, 1 is starting off. And we have 700 plus cable operators. And to give you a brief about how much customers we have in broadband, that's 450,000 is in FTTH, 175k around ADSL, 40,000 around fixed wireless, around a lakh in DOCSIS. Then we also have IPTV, 150,000 customers. We have 4 commercial data centers. We have seen a dramatic growth in internet traffic and broadbanding since last 3-4 years. And most of it happened because of the FTTH in the country. And we as a company started public Wi-Fi just in 2018. And to talk about a little bit about traffic, 70% of our traffic belongs to Google and Facebook. So Worldlink is a gift introduction. We are the largest broadband operator in the country, and though we are the 3rd largest operator in the country, we are not a mobile operator. We are a fixed broadband operator, and we have around 300,000 active connections. We also have IPTV. We also started pre-public Wi-Fi, and we have around 95 market share because we are the only one doing as of now in the country. We cater around 40% market share in enterprise, and we are proud that even though we are the 3rd largest provider and only a fixed broadband provider, we alone carry 40% of Nepal traffic in our backbone. And in terms of coverage, out of 75 districts, we have network presence at 72 districts. I'll just quickly go through, I think, just see that. So we have a world-class infrastructure. We are built on Nokia, Cisco, and Juniper. We are the first one to build a 400 Gbps backbone in the country before Nepal Telecom or mobile operator. And we are also a largest home fiber operator in the country, I have already said, and so on. So I'll just skip that. So just to give you a history about how the key connectivity evolved in Worldlink, right? So in 1995 we started with a dial-up modem with a store and dial services, right? We used to dial out outside the country at one point of time, send the emails, and at the same time use the same line to dial in and for the customer to send in the email. So that's how we started. Right, in 1997 we connected with 64 kbps lease line to Canada, and from where we started the internet a little bit. But in 2000 we started just from a lease line and the dial-up connectivity, we migrated to wireless. So we started providing a fixed broadband wireless to the enterprise. Then we felt that that there should be something be done in order to provide home residence subscribers. So that then we actually started a fixed cable net internet in the country in 2003. How it is done is it's basically simple. We actually brought some cheap Chinese switches from China, and we started to mounting them in the poles. We backhauled and we designed our own cable, that is Cat5e Ethernet cable bundled with power, and we used to power them at the central location. So every switches are cascaded linearly, and it used to cover almost 2 kilometers. So we used to cascade almost 20 switches in a one row powered central location. That's how we started and brought down the price of internet in Nepal and started to provide internet to the homes. But in 2009 we started, this cable internet was only in the urban cities, but we also need to serve urban, little semi-urban and rural. So we started to fix broadband in 2009, right? And in 2012 we again revamped our Ethernet cable network. But finally, from 1995 to 2012 journey, actually we could not do anything much in the internet industry in Nepal. So if I talk about number in 2012, we only have around 15,000 customers. But everything changed in 2014 after we launched FTTH, right? So you can see that from 2012 to 2018, from 15,000 now we already have 300,000 subscribers. So huge broadband growth happened because of FTTH. Then in 2016 we launched also IPTVs, because now we have a right backbone infrastructure in order to deliver IPTV. Then in 2018 we started public Wi-Fi. So why we again piggyback to Wi-Fi as from FTTX? Being a fixed operator, why you are focusing again on Wi-Fi? So though we call ourselves fixed operator and FTTS operator, but in a sense we are always a Wi-Fi provider, because client at the end in the home, all the customers use broadband routers and they are connected over Wi-Fi. So 90% of the 90 to 95% of the home devices are mobile, and it's connected over Wi-Fi. So users doesn't connect with the Ethernet, right? So even though we are providing a fiber to the home, but we are still able has to provide all the support and services for the client device connecting to the Wi-Fi, where we don't have a visibility at all, right? So 90% of the customers complaint that we receive in our call center is always because of the Wi-Fi. So we have to improve this, right? So the major reason we had this challenge is customer buy their own routers from the market, and we don't have a visibility. When they complain, they say that internet is not working, right? And they blame ISPs and they blame fiber, right? But it's not the case. It's always a home Wi-Fi router. So we felt that a good home managed router was a really necessity, right? Then what happened was, instead of asking customer to buy a router, we now started to provide our own router. So we partnered with Nokia, and we started providing ONT with Wi-Fi integrated, right? So that gave us a more visibility, manageability, control, and it also gave us orchestration capability to manage all the ONTs remotely from the central location, and it also gave us a visibility to every devices connected in the home. So it actually improved coverage and performance is one thing, but it also gave us, our support technicians and call center people, visibility up to the home and able to support them efficiently. That the journey continues, right? But soon what happened was, actually we are the first operator in Nepal to provide the broadband connectivity at the home. So initially when we started, everything was good because the customer base was very small. But as we started connecting a lot of homes in the neighborhood, right? So it soon became very, very polluted. The 2.4 gigahertz band became really polluted, because now this home has a connectivity, his neighbor is having his friend, so everybody has a connectivity and they are using the same 2.4 Wi-Fi, right? And we are managing it. So the spectrum became polluted, and we started to increase more and more transmit power, right? So that we could provide the better coverage to the home. But actually that did not turn out well, right? Because more TX created more interference, right? So single band 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi turning out to be futile now, right? And since the dual band 802.11 AC has really not picked up in Nepal because of the cost factor, because the router is still expensive dual band, right? So we had to do something. So improving home Wi-Fi is really critical for us, because we are providing Wi-Fi, we are providing 50 megabits, 100 megabits, but the bottleneck is 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is polluted and it doesn't perform well. Then, as I said, the cost was a main factor, right? Even if we have to buy a good single band router, it costs around $25. Dual band is even more expensive, around $50. Wi-Fi with mesh capability is beyond imagination. Forget it. It's enterprise. It's not home router, at least in Nepal. but our average RPU is around $10, right? And the cost of ONT that we provide with the single band Wi-Fi is around $30. Now, if we have to club the solution, it comes around $80, right? It doesn't make actually business sense, right? Because we have to connect so many homes, and it doesn't really make sense to spend $80 just for the home CPE, whereas the other infrastructure cost is still there, right? So something need to be done. So what we did is, we really wanted a good dual band router because 2.4 is connectivity polluted, sorry, and we need the orchestration capability as well. So, but after a long research, we partnered with one company in Taiwan. It's called Ignite, and we found a right solution for our customers. So, I'll just go back earlier slide. So, this is the radio that we use right now. This is a dual band Realtek chipset dual band router, Wave 2, right? So, and it cost around $35, right? So, with this router, we built our own solution, right? So, what we do now is we provide as a default Nokia ONT built in with single band router and additional dual band router just as an extension, but we give this all the orchestration capability from our own. So, and we also provide mobile app to our subscriber from where they can manage everything, right? So, actually this solved the problem a lot, right? And it significantly made good home Wi-Fi router affordable. So, around $50–60, I think we were able to achieve that. So, this is the app that we provide, and you can see that from here. It's pretty much difficult, right? So, you can see on the bottom that there is a section called home network where the main router, which is ONT. These ONTs and this additional router is connected over the bridge, and when our customer service field service technician actually go into the field, they actually now recommend the users to reduce the 2.4 gigahertz transmit power, right? And so that they can balance the power between the dual band and the single band router, so that the roaming can happen seamless, right? But and it also give us and the customer a little bit of visibility. So now they can even see which device are connected at which SNR, which MCS, and what are the TXRX data rate is happening on the device. So, based on that, it also gave a visibility to the customer that which client is hogging a bandwidth and which connected device has a poor connection, and so basically they can also troubleshoot by themselves in some level. But we also have some issues, that is from brand steering, right? So, because you have 2.4 gigahertz routers, so we have dual band routers, and 5 gigahertz to 2.4, there has to be a band steering, and if you start doing limiting the devices based on RSSI threshold, it actually disables the capability of doing band steering. So, there is still issue, but we are just managing somehow. Sticky client issues persist, but as the newer and newer devices coming in with the good roaming support, so that is not an issue anymore. So, future roadmap is we want to provide a dual band ONTs with the dual band, FTTS ONT with dual band Wi-Fi as well as the dual band additional routers. That is a plan that we are now trying to do. Another solution that we are trying to come up is we also provide IPTV solutions. So, the IPTV set-top box also have a Wi-Fi. So, miraculously, the set-top box Wi-Fi is very cheap, right? So, if you can see that a set-top box having a single band Wi-Fi costs $25 and dual band costs $28. So, we also have a plan to make the same set-top box as a wireless repeater. So, that is a research and development that is happening in our lab as of now. So, probably in next 3 to 2 months, we will also launch this service, so that if the users has the IPTV subscribe, that same set-top box can also act as a Wi-Fi repeater, so that it can provide a good Wi-Fi coverage at a very affordable price. And of course, good Wi-Fi mesh capability is still on the horizon, so we will also do that in future. Now going back to public, why we started doing public Wi-Fi is, since after we partnered with Ignited with that small $35 router, that router is based on DWRT, right? So that it has all the capability to provide a public Wi-Fi hotspot. So now, making any business case in public Wi-Fi is very, very difficult. So we thought that with this small $35 router, if you can build a public Wi-Fi, because it has all the capability to provide hotspots features, let's do it. So it's actually helped us a lot, right? So as a corporate social responsibility, we started, right? And especially because our also mission is also connect everyone in Nepal, and especially in the rural area. So beside that, once the public Wi-Fi is deployed, we also feel that it will also reduce the churn that happens in our company because of the obvious reason, right? So we also want to reduce the churn, and we feel that if you have the hotspot capability seamless everywhere, then probably it will also reduce the churn. And another thing is a greenfield opportunity, right? Because mobile and telecom operator in Nepal, they are only focused in 3G and 4G connectivity, whereas other service provider is only focused on the fixed broadband. So we feel that it's a very perfect opportunity to go into public Wi-Fi domain and increase the Wi-Fi penetration. So in future, if 5G comes in, we also have a seamless connectivity of Wi-Fi all over the country. At the same time, yes, we also have a good vendor support. We also partnered with Mozo, right? So so we deploy Mozo radio networks in our public outdoor Wi-Fi, and we also use a little bit of Cambium also. And as I said, there is no real monetization happening in public Wi-Fi. So that is something we have put it on the future. Right now, the focus is just to build the network. So journey continues. So as I already mentioned, we partnered with IgniteNet. We work with Mozo, with Cambium networks, right? And for enterprise, we also work with Cisco Meraki, because as a service provider, we don't want to bound with one single vendor, right? When you go to provide service to the customer can choose their own option. So we actually decided to go with multi-vendor solution. So we have an orchestration system. We had partnered with Incapto, and that orchestration system can connect with any vendor. And going forward, we are also partnering with Facebook and Google. So this is just where we are doing public Wi-Fi. So it's well known. So it's in any places where there are very high footfalls and where the people gathers and spend time. So this is the latest status of our public Wi-Fi. So all the urban area where we have FTTH, so it's very easy to build the public Wi-Fi network. So this is Kathmandu. So you can see that Kathmandu is almost all covered with the public Wi-Fi. So far we have around 3,000 sites. Out of that, we are really focusing on, as of now, restaurants. So 2,000 restaurants is already connected. All the airport is already connected. Then beside airport and restaurant, there are other public places around 900 plus that we have already connected. So, and this year we have a plan to connect another 6,000 sites. And we have our daily visitors of around 75,000 and simultaneous session around 10,000, and daily visitor is around 150,000. So challenges that we face is always a site acquisition, right? Even though we provide the service at free, right? But the business owner are very, very reluctant to adopt the service. Some just didn't want the Wi-Fi. They say that if they deploy the Wi-Fi, then the people will start coming there, and it will make their place very crowded. So that is one of the reasons. And somebody doesn't need captive portal, because the public Wi-Fi means free, and the traditional way of giving a fiber is just to give a SSID and a password, right? And people are just used to it. So as soon as we started enabling captive portal, people actually doesn't like that, right? So lots of the restaurant owners and business owners actually rejected the proposal that we need to implement captive portal because it's so difficult. Some wanted money in return. So even if you are providing a free service, so wanted that give us money back, right? Because you are doing a branding, and you will make money in future. So, and these are the actually main reason for site acquisition. And beside that, when you go into public domain, powering up the radios reliably is always a challenge. So we did some trial in some of the areas where we started. We tried with powering it with solar panels, but it's also a little kind of bit of difficult because the access point that we use run in 48 volt, and you cannot install 4 battery of 12 volt into the poles, right? So you have to also do engineering in the power also. So it's pretty much difficult. So, but most of the site, what we are doing is we are actually renting a small space in the nearest shop, giving them some money, and from there we are taking up power and connectivity and powering up all the access point that we keep on the road. Another issue is device security. Today you install, after 2-3 days it's gone. So it also happened a lot. So we have lost thousands of, so hundreds of radios that were installed in the public Wi-Fi. Another issue is you don't have much space to mount the access point in the poles, because the poles is fully crowded with the cables, untangled cables, right? Because of the ATTS, there is absolutely no space. So that is also one of the limiting factors. And captive portal, I have already mentioned that the adoption is very, very slow. People doesn't like it. But beside that, the legacy device that that connect to the hotspot, actually it doesn't pops up the captive portal, right? So in that, so whoever is using a very old device, we have to actually instruct them how to log into the Wi-Fi. So that is also one of the limiting factor. And we have to print a brochure and a guide and stick into the walls that how to do it if this happens. So that it really doesn't scale that way. I mentioned the captive portal system, right? So because people are so used to traditional passwords, so it's very difficult to use it. So, but what we decided is, let's onboard the customer. Let them give them a feeling that captive portal is a must. This is how the public Wi-Fi works. So we actually removed the username and password registration and authentication part. So we just started with the click and online goal. So as soon as you connect to the SSID, it will just pop up the page and you just click and go online. So this way we are trying to onboard the customers, making them used to a captive portal. Gradually we will also enable the registration process. We are unable to implement EAP CMOS or Hotspot 2.0 because we are not mobile operator. So that's why we are also building our own app so that it makes the connection seamless. And beside that, yes, lack of government policy is also there, so you cannot implement the KYC. More challenges, as you connect more customers, the business doesn't want that access point installed in their premises is accessed by other public, right? So, but it happens in the public domain. So that is also one of the challenges that we face. Yes, doing a customization is also a very big challenge. We wanted to, if you want to, because this is the first, we actually bought a system from a vendor. So if you want to do any changes or optimization, then it take a lot of time. Then system scaling, because you have now multiple hotspots all around the country, and if the users logs in at the one time, the customer as the roam in the streets or whenever the captive portal just pops up. So it keeps on increasing a load unnecessarily in the hotspot captive portal system. So that's also which we faced. And of course, yes, monetization is always difficult because public Wi-Fi is considerably as a free, right? So people doesn't want to pay. I don't know, I have time for this also. How much time? I think 5 minutes more. Yeah. Okay. So now a little bit talking about rural wireless broadband. We started at 2000 and 2002, because we want to migrate from the lease line to the from the expensive lease line to the wireless. So in 2002, actually we started with Motorola Canopy radios. Then we moved to Ubiquiti because of the cost factor. And in 2003, actually we tested 2005, I think, the longest point-to-point connectivity I think ever happened in the world at that time. So I'll just give you some screenshot of this system here, right? So we use Motorola Canopy radio, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is mentioned it's 7.43 miles connection we did point to point. So that is actually a proof of concept that we did, that we can do a long range wireless and still provide a broadband in rural part of the country. So actually that's drastically changed the broadband industry in Nepal. We started providing wireless, right, and we started replacing VSAT. Then in 2007 we started building a rapid expansion of wireless broadband, and all the repeaters that we build is solar powered. And today you see that we still have 600 repeaters all around the Nepal, but we only serve 8,000 customers. So the operation cost is really high to provide rural wireless broadband connectivity. And just a case study of small place called Karnali. Karnali is one of the most remote and poorest region in Nepal, and it is one of the most beautiful in terms of terrain and geography, very difficult also to reach. It's one of the largest zone. It has national park, and we are building a wireless broadband in the entire region by utilizing a RTDF fund from Nepal Telecom Authority, and we have to connect around 1100 schools, health posts and communities. right? So as I said earlier also, it's very, very challenging environment, right? Geography is always a hurdle. So there are villages as high as 4,300 meters that we need to connect. The settlements are dispersed. It sometimes takes not 2 days, 7 days to go into the repeaters and do the installation from the nearest roads, right? No grid power, all has to be solar powered. No transportation, you can see that in the picture, right? No bridges, and sometimes you have to build your own roads also. And some villages has never seen the vehicle before in their village, right? So we are the first one to go there, right? And weather is also a problem, high wind, snowfalls, low temperature, right? And finding a good human resources is also difficult. Site acquisition of the repeater is also very difficult. Political problem, right? People ask for donation. When you go and go install there, they think that we are a telecom, they ask a lot of money. They ask bribery, local peoples, and sometimes kidnapping of our local staff also happen. Right? Then theft of solar equipment, they don't need anything, they don't only need solar, right? Solar and batteries. So once today you install, after a few days it's gone, right? So that also happens a lot of time. Yes, people also threatens there because it also affected some of the business in the local region where they are making some of the other advantage that they are having for not having the connectivity. Once they have a connectivity, they start threaten our operations. Some started vandalizing our infrastructure. So these are all very what I say, kind of issue that you will never face in other places, right? It's only happened in Nepal. So, and frequent lighting hits actually causes very, very long outages. And to rectify that issue, I think we are actually building a redundancy. For every village will have a connectivity at 2 villages. That is a kind of redundancy that we are trying to build. And it's all by learning and by doing and failing. So we are not doing anything great, but we are just trying to do something so that we can provide a connectivity to all the rural part of the country. And what the achievement is, we actually successfully connected all the locations. 50% of the site that we connected actually did not have any means of communication. So we were the first to actually connect those places. We have almost built 165 remote repeaters to connect 1900 site, right? And it actually changed the life of the people out there. So there is a news where it says that internet has saved someone's life who is a pregnant woman. So they were not able to have a connectivity, so they actually use internet, our connectivity, to connect the doctors, call the helicopter and rescue them. And there are a lot of such cases, right? So actually we feel very proud that we did it, right? Even though it's so difficult, it has brought smiles to our people's face. So it is actually so much. Thank you so much.
We can take a couple of questions, short questions. Anybody? Yeah.
You mentioned of using the solar panels. Does the what's that called, the windmills kind of thing? So is that not an option because of the high winds and everything for the electricity generation? Other than solar panels, could you have used wind as the renewable source and then?
No, we tried some, but we failed. It did not work that well. So okay. We found that solar is much more reliable than having any kind of alternative solution.
Okay.
Even a grid power will not be reliable as solar. That's what we actually experience.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments?
Suggestion, feedback?
Sorry?
Suggestions or feedback?
Any suggestions, especially for kidnapping, right? I think the good follow-up may be yours, because some of the challenges you have faced with merchants, I think they've been quite successful. Last chance, any questions? If not, thanks and keep up the good work. Yeah.